Hey everybody, it's Joe Trippi and welcome back to a special debate recap episode of That Trippi Show. This week, we're recording this right after the first presidential debate in Atlanta. Alex, I just from looking at the commentary, the immediate post commentary and the Democratic hand-wringing, it looks like this is going to be a rough couple of days, but okay, buddy, where do you want to get started?
You know, you said a special debate recap at the top. That's doing a lot of work, my friend. I thought this was an AL East recap show. We should just do that.
Yeah, well, the Orioles won. I think the Yankees lost, so I think they were now got it rolled into a tie in first place in the AL East. So that's some good news tonight for me, an Orioles fan. But anyway, yeah, let's get to the debate. We can't avoid it.
Part of what we do on this show is we do have to look at what happens in debates. We do have to look at what's going on in social media, all the different commentators. We try to do that, so sometimes you don't have to. Joe, I'm going to synthesize most of what Twitter's reaction tonight was and just beg you, Joe, make us all feel better. Was this that bad for Joe Biden?
Look, it wasn't good, but it's not. This is the problem with these things. I mean, I was really monitoring sentiment across the social media and some other analytics stuff that we can use to look at, what's going on. And what was fascinating to me was Biden was scoring stronger among Democrats than Trump was among Republicans throughout the whole debate. In other words, Biden would be, on a sentiment scale somewhere being like 70 with Democrats, and Trump would be 60, 61 with Republicans. And independents throughout most of the debate just sort of flatlined. I mean, there wasn't really, it's fascinating because like when Trump called Biden the Manchurian candidate, as China's, guy, independents just dropped off the map on Trump when it was looking at, sort of where people were responding and the way things would be breaking. It was fascinating to me that, I was looking at it and I was clearly thinking, well, look, this isn't, it's not great. Biden's not getting the contrast breakaway thing that I and a whole lot of others were hoping for. But Trump had sort of, in a weird way, even more bad moments because he just couldn't avoid just trying to beat the daylights out of Biden in a mean way. And I think you actually during this talked to me about a Frank Luntz tweet or something that Frank Luntz said. Alex, do you still have that?
Yeah, this was kind of how bizarro world this entire thing was. Because Frank Luntz was being retweeted by like all the usual Democrats that usually kind of just dunk all over him during these things because he does, for those who may not know, you probably do, but he does focus groups during the debate. He has people talking. He has the lines on the screen that everyone probably knows now. So Frank said something interesting tonight, and I think even like Simon retweeted him, which, by the way, this was through a field of just usual Frank Luntz, so bear this grain of salt. But he said, my group of undecided voters are moving away from Trump as he gets more and more vicious towards Biden. They complain this sounds like a senior citizen bingo hall argument. And Joe, that kind of dovetails with what you were seeing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It kind of reflects the read I was getting. And so, but here's the problem, okay? None of that matters. In other words, let's argue that as much as people were disappointed on the, particularly people who are really paying a hell of a lot of attention to politics, who hang on every word, like we do, and probably most of the people listening to the podcast, the rest of the country. And let's say among those people, yes, there is disappointment. Biden only scored 70 with Democrats, and unaware that Trump was rolling around at, basically in the 60s with Republicans. And in my view, when I was tracking what was going on with them, I would say it was a flat line. There wasn't a whole lot of difference, but the few plummets that I felt or saw in the data looked to me like they all came from Trump. I mean, and that's what mimics what what Luntz was saying. It was on things like when he went after Biden as being the Manchurian candidate. I can't remember a few others, but they were things like that where he kind of really crossed the line and sort of was that nasty, mean guy who just couldn't maintain trying to be the calm, thoughtful Trump, right? He crossed over into Hannibal Lecter land. And so whenever he did that, groups like women, independents, and even Republicans kind of like, he'd start dropping way, under 60. So my point is, I actually think it was probably a bad night for both. And you could argue that if we did a poll right now before the commentary, that there wouldn't be a whole lot of change in the race at all. But, forget that, because there's two things that are going to happen. The one thing that we all know, because we've watched it since he came down the escalator, every talking head on television who's a Trump wannabe or even a just trying to hang on Republican is going to be in lockstep with, with praising the godlike performance of Trump, while the Democratic Party and most of the punditry once again will fall all over themselves over how bad performance Joe Biden had.
I'm glad you went there, because I'm struggling to see how, okay, you're saying debate performance-wise, I can almost buy that. But you flip on CNN, they're killing
Yeah, that's what I'm
him.
saying. So by
MSNBC,
that's what I meant.
CBS saying he might step down. CBS suggesting he step down. David
Yeah, they're
Plouffe
suggesting that there are, Democratic. Yeah, there's Democrats in House members are, huddling. That's what I'm trying to say. As disappointing as it may have been a performance for, like all of us who are, watching every word right now, and as much as I think that Trump did not have a good night. And that that people that he needs did not, actually moved away from him, like Luntz was suggesting with those undecideds. I think all that's true. The problem is that for everybody else, the people who are just tuning in for the first time, who are this was the whole reason of getting this debate early, was to get everybody to start focusing now, and they will, except most of them probably did not consume or watch this entire debate. What they're going to consume and what they're going to hear about it is exactly what you're saying. CNN killing him, MSNBC killing him, CBS suggesting that there's a move to get him to step down. In other words, it's the echo chamber now, the hand wringing, whether it's real reaction or not. Whether the hand wringing is valid or not won't matter, right? The hand wringing in itself, which is something that our party's well known for, is going to make this worse than it is. Is what I'm saying. And how rough that is, how bad it gets. We'll see. But I can guarantee you, the other side isn't going to do that, would never do it. And that's why, in a lot of ways, it's why they're still stuck with Trump, right? I don't know what'll happen on our side now, but we'll see.
So, Joe, one of the things that I kept hearing was, I don't think I've ever been reminded what day it was more than it was today. We're recording this still on June 27th. We are still 4 full months, almost 5 full months away from the general election. Are we far enough away that realistically none of this really matters? Oh no,
look, this is going to matter. Like I said, because of the reaction that's coming right now that you're seeing, on MSNBC, CNN, I'm sure the headlines tomorrow, the stories that are going to be written, on background quotes, it'll be interesting. Again, there'll be, I'm sure, a lot of not for attribution quotes. And
I'd like to go on the record. I will say that both Major Biden and Commander Biden are both very good dogs.
Yeah. So my point is that's all going to play out now. It's going to be a horrible, horrible couple of days. This isn't going to be really I don't see this ending up being like some big fight or anything. I think that in the end, we'll see how this plays out, but it's not going to be good. The reality is that the next few days are going to be horrible, right? They just are. You're going to get the blanket coverage again because it's all focused on the Biden stuff. Trust me, we're not going to see anything about the Manchurian candidate chart, moment. They're all focused on this, and of course, our party and the not for attribution quotes will be in all the papers tomorrow, and that is going to be a crisis for the Biden campaign. It just is. What happens, how serious it is in terms of, will party elders make some kind of pilgrimage to talk to Biden or not? I have no idea. But there's plenty of time, to get to, I think, where you're going with this question. Our convention's in August. There's plenty of time to either weather this one way or the other, or for Biden to...
I think there's plenty of time, but in your point, it's not there's plenty of time to step down, replace whatever. There's time to maybe make this election about Donald Trump, which we're halfway, maybe 2/3 of the way through our show tonight. And really, we haven't even talked. We're falling into the trap. We haven't talked about him that much, other than
no. That's my point. You're not
right?
going to hear about the Manchurian candidate, the other things that he screwed up in this debate, and the lies. The absolute colossal lie. So basically, you had lie after lie after lie after lie. No one will be fact checking his lies methodically. They didn't do it as soon as the debate was over. No one went into lie, 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 lie. They went into Democrats in panic. So my point is that Democrats in panic story is blanketing everything, literally blocking out the sun, any light on Trump's lies and the bullshit that he spewed all night. And that we're going to have to go through days of that. And whether or not Biden weathers it is, there's time the Democratic Party can weather this, is what I guess I'm saying. The pro-democracy side of this can weather it. Whether that means there's, at the convention, something for whatever reasons Biden is not the nominee, whatever, or the party and the pro-democracy side turns and starts instead of looking at the concerns, focuses concerns on Trump, on Trump where they belong, and there are legitimate reasons.
Joe, the answer, though, is actually, I think, in kind of how Biden handled things tonight. And I think we can all agree he started off slow. The reaction, like Twitter set itself on fire when he started coughing 10 seconds in. No question that was damaging. The spinniest of spinsters is not going to say...
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to spin this at all.
But if you look at the thing that I think people are going to forget or gloss over is he struggled early because he tried to be wonkish Joe Biden. He tried to be like policy focused and taught and like fit as much into an answer as he could when he was facing off against the guy who was just lying his ass off the whole time. And we can get to our favorite lies or whatever, but as the debate moved on, and it might have been it's definitely too late for the media coverage, but if you look at how he finished the debate, and I think this is a really important point moving forward. It's not going to affect the coverage. It's not going to affect who won the debate. But he was better when he was aggressive. When we got angry Joe Biden, which we did get at times, at one point he pointed at Trump and said, this guy is 3 years younger and a lot less competent. Like, he was so much better when he was offensive. And I think that's where we need to go.
I don't think the performance was anywhere near as bad as the reaction. I think Trump had, in my view, was scoring lower with Republicans and was hurting himself with independents, or as Frank Luntz was pointing out, with undecideds, more than Biden. With all the things we're talking about, where we think Biden did some damage, he was not. It was not as impactful as the damage Trump did, in terms of the votes Trump needed to persuade tonight. That doesn't mean crap, because the coverage with the millions of people who did not watch it, will not watch it, it has hit escape velocity, and the Democrats will be pouring gasoline on that rocket. Just the way the hand wringing and everything, valid or not, will add to it. That is going to be a huge crisis for Biden and the party. Period. There's no way if ands, or buts about that. Doesn't mean it's fair. Doesn't mean Biden did worse than Trump in reality. It's just that it's now perception is reality, and that's the way that perception ball is bouncing. So then the question is, okay, so Joe, you've been through this a ton. Yes, I was there in '79 when we primaried an incumbent president. That kind of a challenge, if there's internal challenge or questioning to Biden and the party, that isn't the way. That's not how that's going to happen, because there's no one. Everybody knows how that ends up. I mean, you don't have to have been there in any of the times that that's happened, and not just on the Democratic side. It happened on the Republican side, Reagan and Ford, Kennedy, Carter, and you can keep going back to the few times it's happened. Even Buchanan taking on George H.W.
That's a deep cut debate performance. Yeah.
Yeah. But that ended with Clinton.
Well, remember, Obama had a terrible first debate. Everyone forgets that. George Bush had a terrible first debate.
No, I'm not talking about first debates. I'm talking about if you're going to challenge the incumbent president to leave the field, if that's really now a real thing in the party, it won't be in an electoral challenge. It won't be in a convention challenge. It would be, because that ends in disaster, period. So if that stuff is going to happen, there's plenty of time for it to happen, but it will happen because there's a consensus that occurs, and that Biden himself and his people believe that's the best path forward to defeat Trump. Because I do believe that Joe Biden is running, because for one reason, and one reason only, essentially, is to stop, for the soul of the nation, and to stop Donald Trump from being getting anywhere near the Oval Office before. I think he feels like his biggest accomplishment in his life was doing that, stopping him from returning in 2020. So now I think, does this get to a place where Joe Biden himself says that the best way for him to make sure that Donald Trump is not back in the White House, he could decide one of two things. No, it's me. I'm the one who can stop him. What I'm saying is, if this now becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, though, because of the way the party's reacting and the pundits are all reacting tonight, and it's going to be a horrible couple of days or a week before anybody knows how real that all is, and whether any of it shows up in polling or anything, but we'll see.
So what I'm hearing you say is that everyone who's kind of running around hair on fire, looking at things to throw off of a balcony, everyone needs to take a minute, let this settle. Remember, we still have a long fight regardless. Trump is beatable, which is something we saw tonight. Absolutely. One thing I think it's pretty, look, you talked about The Biden weakness is Trump didn't add anything tonight.
No, Trump is I really think it's not that Trump is beatable. Trump is not going to win the presidency. It's just I mean, he's that bad. The question now is really how, with 4 months left, whatever, it's not that. It's now that this perception is going to take hold. And the real question here is, does the party basically stay the course with Biden, or does Biden decide that what's best for the country and what's again, his whole reason for being, his whole reason for running in the first place was to stop Trump. I think that's sincere. I believe that from the get-go. I think that's what powered him through the 2020 campaign. If he comes to believe that that's no longer the case, what I'm saying is no one has to worry, oh my God, there's going to be some big cataclysmic fight that's going to cost us, we're going to go into the convention, it's going to be it's going to cost us any chance of defeating Trump. No, I actually believe that Joe Biden will make the right decision, and there won't be a fight one way or the other, that we will be a unified party, be either behind Joe Biden or behind somebody. I mean, one of the problems with this whole era has been that, there used to be these guardrails of, where the delegates to the convention actually had power and actually made the right decision for the party. And that's in both parties, right? But as those guardrails came down, it's like the delegates to the Republican convention have like they don't even do their platform, right? Why? Because it's whatever Trump says. It's what I'm saying is they've become both parties in a lot of ways have become sort of hollowed. Where, and by the way, Howard Dean, like we were running against the party and we scared the living daylights out of them, but they still had enough power at the within the infrastructure to stop us. 4 years later, they didn't have the power to stop Barack Obama, and trust me, they wanted to. They tried to. I mean, the Clinton status quo in the party, they owned that damn thing, but that was the hollowing. In other words, not the hollowing out of I'm talking about the power structure to actually influence who the nominee is. Both parties have sort of lost that ability, and we'll see whether that changes right now, this minute. Whether there's enough concern about tonight, and enough angst over the coverage that is surely coming in the horrible days that are coming here, whether weird, in a strange kind of like offshoot of outcome of this is that the party structure actually decides to retake some of that power and sit down and avoid a fight at all costs, but come up with the best solution to defeat Donald Trump. That's going to be, and whether once that happens can that still be Joe Biden or what? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that there's enough time to do it. I mean, for that to be resolved. But the next few days are going to be just really not fun.
As we're starting to run out of time, a couple of takes I did like. One was our friend Celinda Lake. She tweeted, "Some final thoughts for me tonight. The two most important things for Dems to do to control the narrative are, number one, rally, and number two, define Trump as a liar. Trump just delivered his rally speech rather than debate, a debate of solid lies from one guy." And again, part of this is, and we didn't even get into CNN just totally not fact-checking Trump all night, but he lied his ass off all night, and it's just going to go scot-free.
told lie after lie after lie after lie, and I think went over the top on his attacks on Biden. And I think that was a really bad night for Trump. The problem is, for whatever reasons, the hair on fire calls started going to the press almost immediately, like, within minutes of the thing, because of the coughing, whatever. And now, and like I said, their party would never have done that. It's just not the way that works, right? So we have, and the pundits are now piling on, including, and the fact that CNN, no one fact checked this. And that's my point. No one's going to now. There's not going to be stories about how the lies Trump told again. It's going to be, Democrats quietly talk about whether Biden can continue, all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm saying. Celinda's absolutely right. Democrats, Republicans would be rallying right now, but that's a difference between the parties. We will not be able to. I'd be shocked if the Democrats rally right now. Given how fast already you can see this spiraling the wrong way, and so I'm with Celinda. I personally believe you asked me what I thought. I thought that that Trump was doing worse with Republicans than Biden was doing and Biden was scoring higher than with Democrats. I thought independents were essentially flatlining, but when they did take a dip from somebody, or something in a moment, it was always Trump that lost them. And it was always on an over-the-top attack on Biden. And also, when he was telling, an obvious lie, I think that's when he even dipped among Republicans. That's what was keeping him around in the 60 instead of Biden in the 70, over 70. It was that you could I just got the sense that that they were both having bad nights. But that if you asked me, I would have told you, I thought Trump eroded a little bit. Not that Biden picked up anything, but Trump eroded a little bit. And it wasn't as bad as soon as the debate was over and you went to the talking heads, they set the tone. And of course, Democrats are going on, like I said, not for attribution, but let me tell you what I think. And they're all going to be doing that for the next couple of days. And I know people will be concerned and be seeing these stories about, hey, the Democrats are questioning whether they're going to ask, whether they're going to need to go sit down with Biden. And all I'm saying is, I don't think that's a bad thing. We've got time. And in that conversation, I really trust Joe Biden. Is all I'm trying to say. I'm not worried that we're going to have some big fight for the nomination now or anything like that. That's not going to happen. If Joe Biden, for whatever reasons, is not the nominee, it will be because he decided that after talking to other elite party leaders, that his goal of defeating Trump is something someone else would be better at. If that's how he feels. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I trust him to make that decision. And I think he may now be confronted with making it, is what I'm saying. I think there's, my own read real quick is, the angst in the party will be such that it will, that question will be raised. But he's either going to swat it down real fast and say, hell no, I'm the only guy who can defeat Trump and continue to move forward. Or he could decide now with plenty of time and reassess. But the time's now to do that. So this could be look, if this kind of angst in the party was going to happen, it's a good thing that it happened. It happened in June.
Well, I think, Joe, as fun as this has been, we are out of time tonight.
It's a pretty painful conversation, but it's, hey, it's the reality of And I do think the one, look, maybe there's, a day or two of this and the party rallies. Because I agree with Slinda that the way Democrats should be, and those of us in the pro-democracy side of these things should be basically going after Trump for his lies, demanding that the press call him out and fact check his lies, and rally for democracy and Biden. I just know my party. It's one of the reasons I've sort of been, it's one of the reasons I've never been one of the, it's maybe it's why I was with Kennedy when we challenged the sitting president. I mean, I've never been, one to be the go-along guy in the party. And a lot of it is that they just go into hand-wringing, and there's no other way about it. And a lot of it's sometimes valid, and this one is. I mean, look, it wasn't a great performance, but I don't know, it's kind of like an over-the-top reaction that just feeds the perception and helps turn it into more reality. That's what I'm saying, and that could be more deadly than the performance itself, is what I'm trying to say, and that's why we may already be in a place that none of us want to be in a couple of days. But I still think that the one saving grace that we have, put it the other way. If this was Donald Trump having this moment in the party, is there anybody who thinks for a second Trump would think about doing the right thing for the party and the country? Fuck no. Okay, the one thing I do believe is Joe Biden will. That in the aftermath of this, he will do what is best for the party and the country and for democracy. And that's why, it was a really bad night. The party is going to wring its hands and maybe have valid reasons for doing so. But in the end, the ship will be righted. We will win in November. And I think in the end, it will be because Joe Biden does what is needed to defeat Trump. And if that means moving aside, he will. We'll see. Thanks, everyone, for listening to That Trippi Show. It wasn't a happy one. The podcast will always be free with support from our advertisers and is part of Resolute Square. Check out the latest at resolutesquare.com/Trippi. Please subscribe to That Trippi Show and leave a review on Apple or wherever you listen. And if you're listening to this episode on YouTube, please like and subscribe to get alerts when we post the next episode. You can always send us a question to thattrippishow@gmail.com or leave us a question in a review on iTunes. We'll see you next week.
Resolute Square.